All right, let's settle down and let's get started, everybody. So hello, everybody. Thank you very much for attending my talk. Yes, so as you can see, the title of my talk today is 6 Apps, 1 Code with Ionic in Angular. And I'm going to run you through what I mean by 6 Apps, 1 Code, and how we're going to show you how we can create multiple applications using the exact same code. So to begin, let me get the boring stuff out of the way. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and what makes my life great and what makes my life not so great. Mostly not so great. So I'm the founder of Haibrid, a small company consultancy in London, which basically means me, myself, and I. Just 3 people, you know. I'm a Google developer expert as well. So I'm not quite sure what that still means, but yeah, it's supposed to be a fancy title that I recently got. So yeah, and I'm the lead instructor of UI.school, which is a thing me and my partner, my business partner, I created. So watch out for that. And has anybody seen the Avatar movie? Has anybody not seen the Avatar movie? Good. Exactly, because we cannot get along. We cannot get along, you haven't seen the Avatar movie. So go see that movie. All right, with all that nonsense out of the way, let's actually start. So today the web is everywhere. What do I mean by the web? When I say the word the web, I mean, just the web technologies. So of course, we don't want to get into semantics of what the web actually really is. I'm certainly not talking about spiders, but yeah, I'm talking about like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript technologies and how we infuse that to create applications. And it's everywhere. It's powering your mobile. A lot of the apps you use are built with the web. We also have the traditional web applications. What I mean by the traditional web applications is basically every web application you use out there. That is huge screen, on your monitor and stuff like that. We also have the standard desktop applications. So a lot of the desktop applications that you use today are actually built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And not a lot of people know this. So these are actually web applications. Also IoT. Any IoT fans in the house? Any Internet of Things people? Yeah, great. So if you want to know about this, just literally Google my friend Yuri Shekid. He is the god of IoT. This guy would sit in his room and invent, Mars and with JavaScript. And we also have server-side rendering. With Node.js is one of the reasons why the JavaScript community has really grown, because as soon as Node.js came to the server side, we can render stuff on the server side. And now we have Angular Universal. If you're using Angular, you can see that even the web powers server-side technologies now. TV applications. A lot of the TV apps you see are actually built with the web. Like those people with smart TVs will know what I'm talking about. Those applications are really built to the web. So we have even proprietary devices. What do I mean by proprietary devices? I'm talking about Xbox, PlayStation. When you go on the plane and you're not flying first class like me and you have that little screen and you want to watch the movie to make yourself feel good about yourself. Yes, some of those apps are actually built with the web, especially Norwegian Air, like the tablet in Norwegian Air. If you flew Norwegian and you're cheap like me, then you know what I'm talking about. So we're going to play a little game, and this is what I want to get everybody involved. I need everybody to play this game with me. I need everybody to go to that website, sli.do, and it's going to ask you for an event code, and you're going to enter VOXX. So I need everybody to go on that website. We need to play the game. This is a live game, so this is not like a later thing, or I'm literally sparing minutes of my talk for this game. Come on. The winner gets a free Tesla, by the way. Exactly. I didn't say what type of Tesla. It might just be a picture of a Tesla, but it is a Tesla. So, can everybody see that? Everybody access? You should see a question, right? Good? Okay, so this is the game. Can you spot the web application here? The first one here is on tap beer. Any beer drinkers in the house? Yeah, we can see all the alcoholics now. Uber. Sworkit. Slack. And VS Code. So you need to vote, and you can choose multiple things. Which one of these is the web application here? That is the question. Once again. All right? Okay, so while you guys are voting, I actually have the live results of this. So let's actually go see how people are voting. Let's see who and who are not going to make it to the next level. Yeah, okay. So this is actually the live results right now. Untapped, we see a variation of opinions. So what is actually the real answer? Like, what is the correct answer of this? Okay. So the correct answer is actually all of them. So this is a very smart crowd because we have most people actually saying all of them. So yeah, you know what? Give yourselves a round of applause, everybody. Yeah, you deserve this. So that's the thing. But not only that do we have all of them, we also see a variation of opinions. Some people think this, some people think that. And the whole point is not to say who knows what or who does not know what. It's just to see how we have these perceptions of what we think of when we think about web applications. Because some people do not believe that it's all of them. Some people just say, nah, it's only this one or that one. We have these preconceived notions of what a web application is. And there are some of you in this room maybe that are still like, you know what, this is impossible. It's not true. And for those people I say, follow me. Everybody trusts Gandalf, right? Exactly. Come on. This guy saved the 7 kingdoms. You should trust him. Exactly. So it's all about devices. When you're talking about application, it's all about devices. It's all really about how we use devices. Today, our apps run on different devices, right? You have the same application on your watch, on your phone, on your Google Glass, on anything, right? And your application's functionality does not change. What you use your application to do does not change. You can still read your email on your desktop. You can still read your email on your phone. You can still read the same email on a tablet. But it's just the experience that changes. That's the most important thing. So that's showing how important the experience of an application is with regards to the functionality. And it's all about screen size and accessibility. You know, when we are coding a lot, we just code. For example, a lot of people don't know why you should use label when you're using an input tag in front-end application, why you should give it a name, why you should give it an ID. These little things, because we get away with it. We forget that a lot of people use the web with proprietary devices, clickers. They use the web with accessibility needs. And because, you know, we are all good, we think that's all we need to do. But it's all about input sizes and devices matter. So if you can look here, you can actually see the same exact application. Who uses this application? So some of you would know this. What app is this? Good. This is Spotify. So you can see how different the same application is in different places. It's like you have on your phone, on your tablet. And that's the thing. It's like you probably wake up in the morning, you enter your shower, you play Spotify on your Alexa, you then move on to the train. You play it on your, what's it called? On your phone. It's lunchtime, you want to go for a jog. What do you do? On your watch, you're driving home. What do you do? The same Spotify in your car. You get home, you know, you want to work a little bit on your desktop, Spotify. You know, and then you turn on your TV in the evening, what do? The same exact application. So you can see how the same exact application has moved between different devices, but the user is still able to do the same exact thing. Now this is great, right? We want this. We want all our devices to have our, as a user, you want to be able to do the same thing. But as a developer, today, this is a nightmare. Because, as a manager and a business owner, this is even worse. Because each one of them is money. This is money, money, money. And then there's like a lot of money. So it's like, how do you do that? And then, so what's the issue? Why is it that way? Well, this is the reason. If you want to create iOS application, you need to find some very, very bad person that still writes Objective-C, the most beautiful language in the world. Or you find someone nicer that writes Swift. And they probably, you know, Apple developers are interesting people. And no offense to any Apple developers, they don't even want to work full-time for you. They probably want 70% of your company. And they still want you to pay them a lot of money. If you're lucky enough to find a Java developer that actually knows Android, not just Java, because like actually knows Android. You don't want people writing, you know, public static main on an Android app that knows Android Studio. You pay him a good amount of money. If you want to support the web, the same thing. Tomorrow you want to support the Mac, the same thing. Tomorrow you want to support Windows Universal, the same thing. If you have users that still use Windows Universal, that is. So a bus hits a guy from this team. What do? You cannot replace him. That's it. The team is broken. And all of them hate each other, if in case you have not noticed. It's like because they all feel like they're using the best tools. It's like the Android people hate the iOS people. The Android people are the ones that get the most hate. You know, exactly. Let's just be honest. So they all hate each other. So you have not only now a big problem, you also have a team problem because all your workers hate each other, even though they're building the exact same application. That's just crazy. Okay. Then this guy gets hired. Everybody knows this guy, the new manager. that just walks in on Monday. Everybody, I want to see the spreadsheet. Everybody, I want to see what you've been doing for the past 9 years and where you worked for the past 9 years. We know that guy. He gets hired, and the first thing every new manager says is there's no budget. Oh, we need food. There's no budget. Oh, our toilet doesn't have tissue paper. There's no budget. We need air. There's no budget. There's never budget for the new manager. And then they ask you, it's too expensive. We're going to have to let some of you go because we need to find a way to replace the team. And I don't want to be let go. So what do we need to do? And he makes it your job. He says, you go find it. This is you. Because at that point, what do you do? First of all, you have to look at some of your friends and let them go. And then you have to find a way to reuse all the code, which most people hate each other, remember? And create an app that actually works. And you have a life too. So you start to think, is there a better, more efficient way for cross-platform development? That's, whenever we're worried, we start to think, what do we do? What do I do? And these are the things you start to think about, and ideas start to come, When we are hungry, ideas come through, Have you noticed that whenever you wake up and you're hungry in the morning, all the ideas come when you're having a shower? It's like you're suddenly the smartest person in the world. It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And by the time you get to work, reality hits you, and then you're no longer smart again. Exactly, because you've had your coffee and your breakfast. Exactly. So you start to realize that every modern device is capable of running web technologies, right? Every single modern device out there. And web technologies are relatively easier to learn and use. No disrespect to any other ecosystem, but web technologies are really, I can teach a kid how to create a simple HTML web page in like a couple of hours, but I'll probably not get as far as what public and private mean if I was trying to teach him C# or Java. Like, what is private? Oh, well, there's polymorphism and encapsulation. What? Some of us have 20 years in this industry, and you ask a simple question like, what is encapsulation? And we're like, exactly. And web developers are everywhere. Like, you can find web developers. I promise you, there are probably like web developers that are homeless on the street, and they can still code. You can find them everywhere. You need an app? Yeah, I got you. Exactly. So why can't we just use the web everywhere? This is the simple question you start to ask yourself. Why can you not use the web? Okay. So let us create this mythical billion-dollar application. Who wants to be rich with me? You don't want to be rich with me? Oh, that's fine. I'll keep all my shares. So let's create this mythical application, yeah? We have this great application. Somebody has just given us $1 billion to build. So we need to have iOS, Android, and Windows for some of the people that just don't want to buy a new phone, and we need to support the web. We need to have desktop application, a mobile web application. We also need to have PWA. And on the desktop, we need to have Windows, OS X, and those guys that like to debug everything, the Linux people, I mean. Don't tell them I said that. Okay, so let us solve the mobile problem first, right? So we solve the mobile problem. This is what we want to achieve. We want to code once and with web technologies, right? We want to be able to access hardware features, because today, if you want to do something as simple as taking a photo of somebody from a web application, it is crazy. 5 years ago, you needed something called Flash, and you had to detect what version of Flash the person had. And then you had to wait for the person to download just to take a picture, literally. Good luck getting their location. It's getting better now, though, with new browser APIs. But when you're creating applications on the web, it's really, really difficult. And you want to access the same device features, because if I'm creating an application for iOS and Android, I want to be able to access the same device features the same way. It just makes much more sense. That way, if I lose my leg the next day, somebody else can just come in and they know what they're doing. Exactly. This is where something called Apache Cordova comes in. What is Cordova? It's originally called PhoneGap and open source and part of the Apache Foundation. It's basically what bridges the gap between your web application that sits in the web view and the device API. So you can access the camera, the Bluetooth, the GPS, NFC, and whatever they create tomorrow, or whatever Apple decides to remove from their phones tomorrow. Every year they remove something. Hey, headphone jack, off. Button, off. Next year they remove the screen, Alexa iPhone. And people will still buy for some reason. And we want to support all the major operating systems, right? Because we don't want to lose the users. And so Cordova gives you that, and it has a plugin interface for all the device features as well. So have we solved our mobile problem? Yes and no. But why? This is the reason. Different mobile operating systems have different UI SDK libraries. They give you different components. The users have different user experience. This is Facebook on iOS and Android. I don't even need to tell you which is iOS and Android. The iOS users will know which one it is. The Android users will know. Some of you are going to be looking like, what is that? Because you've never seen that version of Facebook. You experience different user experiences. On the iOS, you have a button, just one button. On Android, you have 3. On the Windows Phone, you have a dedicated search button. Don't ask me why, because nobody uses Bing. But for some reason, they put it there. And this is what it looks like on Windows. The same exact application, but different user experience. And some have dedicated back buttons. We'd also not forget the tablets and phablets. If you don't know what phablets are, they're those devices that are confused whether they want to be a phone or a tablet. One day they're tablets, one day they're phones. Just depend on the day or how drunk you are, then they become. So how do you reuse at this level? You have an app that works across these, but the experience now is even suffering. How do you reuse? Let me visualize the information for you. The native apps, when you're building a native app, it's like this. It's like when I want you to build a house and I give you like the door, the roof, everything. It's like Lego. Just connect the dots and paint, right? Good. Everybody will be able to build a house there. But if I want you to build a house, and you can also access all the device API. But with the Cordova application, all you have is the web view. And then HTML gives you like divs and span and tables if you still use them. Things like that. It's like saying, hey, build me a house. Here's water. Here's the cement. Here's engineering degree. Go study. And by the time you finish building the house, I think it will be my 67th generation. And your HTML code. So how do you reuse? How do you offer this level of experience without writing 690,000 if and else statements? Right? That's the question. And this is where Ionic comes through. Now, what is Ionic? If you Google this, you'd see 500,000 different answers, which is scary. Ionic is simply a web SDK for creating mobile applications. That's all it is. That's what it will always ever be. It's open source. It's built with the web with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It supports Android, iOS, and Windows Universal as first-class citizens. And this is what the Ionic stack looks like. So you'd write your own code with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You would use Ionic components. Ionic components sit on top of the Angular framework. So you use the Angular component and the framework, all the features. And then you have the web view. And then you have the native container inside of the web view, which means you still are in a native application. And Cordova is hiding somewhere there, just basically like the messenger. Hey, get me a picture, Cordova. Okay, guy, I got you. I'll get you a picture. Features of Ionic. So this is the same application running across the same code running across different applications, different devices, but you can see how they all look different by default. I didn't have to do anything. And they have a powerful icons library, Ionic, so you don't have to go look for your own icons. And you can customize and configure it because your manager wants to know if you can use your company colors and things like that. You know how managers come up with I feel like their body itches them and they, how do I make your life miserable today? I want you to invent Mars. That's what I want. And they just make these business decisions. But it would be nice if you're able to configure and customize. And Ionic lets you do that on a high level. Who here hates to configure Webpack and all of that? Or who likes doing that? Let's see who needs medical help. Okay, so good. But we don't like to deal with all these types. Gone are the days where you created a web application, you pressed refresh, and that was it. Today, you have to transpile, you have to do Webpack, Gulp, and all these things. Not me. This is why the first-class CLI tool helps you. It has SAS pre-processing, TypeScript transpiling, and it also has error reporting for you built in. And then you have the code bundler with the tree shaking. Tree shaking is you getting rid of the dead code that is never going to work in your application. And you also have other features like right-to-left support and internationalization. Imagine if I came to Switzerland and gave a talk about something and I did not talk about internationalization. I'll probably start a civil war somewhere. I don't want to do that. There are some pro tools as well. Who's using Ionic? Everybody wants to know who are the cool kids. Over 4 million applications have been generated. 110 plus countries. We had an Ionic Zurich meetup just 3 days ago. 18,000 members on the Slack community who are willing to answer. Some of them want jobs. Some of them want to take your job. Pretty good. Stack Overflow and Active Forum. We have there's more than 34,000 stars on GitHub, and you'll feel free to commit and send a pull request. Companies like Microsoft, the Dow Jones, and SwordKit, and even the NHS, they all use Ionic to build their applications. I think if Microsoft uses it, we can safe to say that, yes, okay, this is pretty ideal now. So to get started with Ionic, simple. You install the CLI, you start the app, you give it a name, and you specify a template, because there are different types of templates, tabs, side menu, blank, and you just go, CD into your app, you run Ionic Serve, and you're good to go. Don't believe me? Let's go. Okay, let's go and start. So I'm going to open my terminal here. Everybody can see this? Pretty good? Bigger? Perfect. Okay, let me CD into my desktop. I'm going to start this application. Ionic, start. I'm going to say Voxed. And I'm going to use the tabs template. And let's see. Nope, I do not want you to add that. And this is going to go through the npm install. And hopefully we do not bring the entire internet down. And this completes on time, because I'm being timed, Mr. Internet. So yes, so this is just basically going to go pull from the Ionic GitHub and pull all the things that we need to do. And yay, it is finished. And we click, no, we don't want to use the Pro SDK. So we're going to do CD into Voxed. And here, what do? We just run Ionic Serve or Ionic Lab. So I'm going to run the command Ionic Lab. Before I actually do that, so let me actually run Ionic Lab. And let's see something. So you actually might see an app that is not even my app, because I have a lot of server caching issues. So I might need to clear my cache on that particular place. So I'm just going to go ahead here, and I'm going to inspect this element, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to clean my cache, because this is some app I've already worked on. And if I refresh this, yay, we see our application. So I can add Android Windows. And let's see. So who here can see some differences? You can already see some differences, right? We can see how the alignment, the icons, the font size, the colors, everything is different. So here, we've built our application. So what do we want to do with this application? Actually, let me show you what I want to do with this application. So I'm going to just go open it here. I'm going to say Voxed. Where is the V? Not you, Visual Studio Code. This guy. Okay. So I'm going to open it on the best IDE in the world, Visual Studio Code. I know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go create this application where I have this list of, I have this API that I hosted here. So this is live. I have this API that I hosted here with a bunch of movies. And I'm just going to go ahead and actually use this API. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my app. This is an Angular application. The first thing I want to do is import the HTTP client module, which will allow me to make HTTP calls, and it should automatically import. So I'm just going to go to the main page here, the home page, which is the home tab. And I'm just going to do this guy here. I'm going to remove this guy. And actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and make the HTTP call to that particular place. So I'm going to say public my movies, and I'm just going to do that of type any, or of type observable, any. And this is an observable, so I should probably put like this to just denote that it's an observable. So I'm just going to say here, private HTTP, I'm going to call HTTP client. That's automatically imported for me. So I'm just going to say this dot movies equals, I'm just going to use the observable here. I'm going to say this dot HTTP dot get. I'm going to make a get call. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go to this API here, and I'm going to pass that get call. And there we go. And we have some error for some reason. It's an expected one argument, but got 0. Oh, it was just thinking. All right, so we have that. We've done. So now we have this observable here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create this card. So Ionic has a lot of components. I'm going to use the card component. And I know for sure that the card component has a card header. And it also has a card. Oh, let me do this. It has a Ion card content. So this is what I'm going to do, actually. I'm just going to use the header. Oh, I don't even need the content. So I'm going to add an image here. So I'm going to have an image and like the name of the movie, right? So here I'm going to do an ng4, which is like a repeater. So ng4, and this is all Angular stuff. Let movie of movies. here. And because this is an observable, I can't iterate over observables. I can only do iteratables. So I'm going to use something very cool called the async pipe, which is from the Angular library that allows you to automatically subscribe to observables. And here I'm going to bind to the source property and say movie dot. So let's actually see. This is the typical one. So we're going to say movie dot. We're going to use this thing called dot poster. So let's use the poster. Dot poster. And in the title here, I'm going to just use movie dot. What's the name of the movie? Title. Title. So I'm just going to save that, and let's go ahead, and voila, we have an application. Look, some of the greatest movies of all time. You know, you can see these great movies. Of course, Vikings. Oh, Vikings. More, give me more, give me more. Great movie. So now what do? Let's go back to our slides because we are quickly taking our time. So everybody agreed that we've solved our mobile problem, right? We have 3 mobile applications that we can send to the App Store: iOS, Android, Windows Phone. And you can see how I'm still writing code once, but we're getting 3 applications. So what next? We need to solve the big boy, which is web, right? For the web, it's all about adapting to screen size, because different web is different. Some people are still using dial-up, and they have like this very great browser called Internet Explorer 6 and 8 and 9. Have you used it? Really good. I know a website that adds $20 to your checkout anytime you use Internet Explorer, so that you pay for the support. Yes. We should, yeah, that's very fair. So it's all about, you should also consider keyboard, mouse, clicker, all these input devices. That's what you need to do when you're designing for the web. That's how you can see the same application running on the web. And don't forget about accessibility. Please do not forget about accessibility. Very, very important. I'm saying this to you, and even I forget sometimes. So let's see. Should we see the demo? Okay. So the problem is, we already have a web application, because this is web, right? But this is the biggest problem here. This is the problem. It's this guy. Nobody likes this guy. Imagine you want to buy a ticket quickly, and you go to the website, and it is this guy that's there. Everybody hates this guy, you know, because we keep telling him, go on a diet. Come on, man. Nobody likes this guy. So how do we solve this guy? Ionic has a great system that allows you to basically go around and shape things. So to save myself some time, I have like a code I'm just literally going to copy. You did not see me copying this, by the way. So I'm just going to copy this bit here, and just that bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Ionic grid system. So I'm going to say Ion grid, and I'm just going to use a row, right? And inside the row, what do you think I'm going to use? Anybody? Column, Ion col. So, but at this point in time, it's basically the same thing I've created. So what I want to do is I want to put some styles. I want to say, hey, if it's a 12 column based grid. So if you're on a small screen, by default, you're column 12. But if you're on a small screen, a really small screen, take the whole screen. Take 12 spaces, right? If you're on a medium screen, take 6 spaces per column. So you'd have 2 rows, right? And 2 columns. If you're on a large screen, take 4 spaces. So how many would you have if you take 4 spaces? 3, exactly. If you're on a super duper large screen, take 3 spaces. So you'd have 4 things in 1 row. Makes sense, right? The bigger the screen, the more we should see. All right. So I'm just going to take this ng4 here. I'm going to remove it here, and I'm going to put it on the column level, because we want to repeat over the columns. And I'm just going to take our card code here and just put the card inside the columns, because we want them to show. And then I'm going to save, and then we're going to go see. Voila! Pretty nice. Now you believe me that this is a $1 billion application? Yeah? Yeah, we get the Swiss government to finance us and all of that. So we have this. So here, this is a huge, really huge large screen. So I can reduce this and say, all right, what if we have a smaller screen, like this guy? Then we take 3 spaces. You see more per item. What if we go down to a much smaller screen, like maybe a phablet? You see more, but 2 spaces. What if you go to like a really, really small screen? Then we see 1. And this makes sense. So if you're on a small phone, you see. If you're on a much bigger phone, you see. If you're on a tablet, you see more. If you're on a TV, that's how you can really scale as much as you want to divide. And that makes sense, because when you use the TV apps, you see multiple titles on the screen. That makes sense. You're making good use of the screen. So finally, this guy decided to go to the gym, and now he's healthy, he's fit. Look at him, six packs, no, 4 packs. You know, now we have look, we have 4 packs, more packs than me. So pretty good. So we solved the problem, right? Well, what about the progressive web application? This is the issue. What about the PWA? How do we solve the PWA? Does anybody know what a PWA is? Good. Because PWA is one of those things that everybody's talking about, but nobody's actually doing. You know? It's just the truth. It's like big data. Oh, we do big data in my company. No, you have glorified if and else statements. That's what you have. You're not doing big data. You're doing really tiny data, like small data. Exactly. So PWA stands for Progressive Web Applications, a web application that actually works offline. You know, it can be installed on a mobile phone. It runs full screen with an icon and a splash screen, just like a native app. It works thanks to something called the manifest JSON and the service worker. The service worker is something I'll talk about a little bit more. This is the state of offline in 2018. We have sent people to the moon. Lord, we have invented artificial intelligence. In fact, there is a game, artificial intelligence, that even knows how to beat the champions. We have eradicated smallpox from the surface of the earth. Yet, this is the best thing you can see when you go offline. A game. I am not joking. This is the best thing you can see when you go offline. A game. A dinosaur game. How ironic. Interesting. Exactly. And for those people that might not know, when you go offline on Chrome and you press your spacebar, it's a game. You can play a game. So, yeah. So, this is how the service worker works. The service worker basically is a proxy that sits between your application and the server. So, before you send a request, it hits the service worker first, and then it goes to the server. And when the request is coming back, it hits the service worker first. So, what you can do is you request an image, then the service worker sends that to the server. But when the request is coming back, the service worker can cache that image. And the service worker has access to unlimited storage. In fact, you can even lock the storage to stop your system from deleting. This is being worked on. So the next time the user wants to get the same resource, the same image, what does the service worker do? Nope, we're not going to go to the server. I have this copy. And it sends it back. And that means quicker and much more better experience. Exactly. And the service worker lives independent of your application. So when you close your application, the service worker is still running. It is a system level event, not an application level event. And allows you to proxy, and it's one service worker per domain. So if you have facebook.com, there will be one service worker for that. If you have twitter.com, there will be one service worker for that. I wouldn't be surprised if they start saying they could share it. These guys will do anything for your information. Exactly. And it solves the problem. Does anybody know what Li-Fi means? Li-Fi is when you have 2 bars on your phone, or like 1.5 bar, and your phone makes you believe that there's service. No, your phone is confused. It's like, well, where am I? What are those? I need service. And you believe in, oh, it's not working. No, you don't have service. Yeah. Let's see this in action, right? The PWA. To solve the PWA problem, Ionic has a pretty simple progressive web app, setup. All you do is you just go to the index.html. They already have the service worker there. This is the service worker and the manifest.json. You can come here, change the name, put your logo, everything. You can do what you want to pre-cache, what you don't want to pre-cache. And you can just come to this service worker here, and all you do is what? You just come here, you uncomment this script. And then you put this here. That's it. Job done. I save, and we refresh the app. So you see this app working, right? And then we refresh the app again. And if we go to the inspector element, and we see application tags, you can actually see service workers, and you can see that, oh, my Chrome has crashed. Great. Wonderful. Demos always go well. You see? So my Chrome is freezing because it doesn't want me to show you guys. Oh, finally. You can see the service workers activated is running. This was when it was received. You can send a push notification with service workers. So what I'm going to do is very bad here, because it will most likely require me to enter my details again, is I am actually going to go just turn off my Wi-Fi. I know you probably already figured out that I'm crazy by now, but yes, I will do this live on stage. And if this does not work, we just pretend nothing happened. We just move on. You did not see this. I did not see it too. And I'm going to go and try to refresh my application. And my application will still work offline. You don't believe me? Let me go to Switzerland.com. No, actually, I should be careful what type of websites I go to. Exactly. And we can play the great game. Ooh, the best offline experience. And we're not even good at it. So, but our app still works, and we can refresh 600,000 times, and our app will still load. This is pretty good. Because imagine if we had watched one movie, and we were trying to watch the movie offline while we were flying. The movie will load, because why? It is cached. Imagine if it was your Facebook. Imagine if it was your email. Imagine if it was your Twitter. You can still see the old stuff while you don't have internet. That's much better. So, what do we do next? Let's go to this guy. So, we solved the PWA problem. Okay, maybe we need to turn off our Wi-Fi now. Right? Agreed? Let's turn this back on. I hope he doesn't ask me for my password. It will be the first time I've been on stage where, oh, good. All right. Now let's solve desktop, the big boy in the house. Any Linux users in the house? Security, yep, I've seen them. There they are. Good stuff. Desktop has a lot in common with the web because it's all about the same screen sizes, right? We're never going to have desktop on the mobile phone. Like, it's the same screen size. And they do have noticeable differences because also each Linux has its own, Ubuntu has its own skin, Microsoft has its own skin, and OS X has its own skin, and people want to be comfortable with that skin. So it has a new level of reusability as well. Offline is a must. Imagine if Photoshop would not work if you didn't have internet. Imagine if Chrome would not work if you didn't have internet. That would really be cool. Chrome not working if you didn't have internet. Don't pay attention to me. And they all have different skins, like I said. So how do you ensure reusability on this level? Okay. Electron is something that is your friend. Electron is basically the codeover for the desktop. It's as simple as that. It allows you to access the native APIs. And it's open source. Supports cross-platform development across Linux and all these platforms. You use web technologies. Some Electron apps you use today. Who did not know that Electron was built with this until now? Anybody? Okay, so you can see the people. This is what Electron is built in. This is what Visual Studio Code and Slack are built with. Electron. They're all just web applications. It's crazy. You're using a web application to create web applications with Visual Studio Code. That's cool, I think. Yeah. It's broken, so you use HTML to fix HTML. Nice. Exactly. Let's see. Time to see the Black Panther. The demo. Exactly. So, how do we work with Electron? With Electron, it's actually pretty easy. You just go to electron.com. If the internet would, so you go to Electron. And basically what they ask you to do is go to their GitHub and pull their starter. They have a starter, and I have that starter already on my desktop. So I'm just going to go to my desktop here. Here, and we can see the starter. Electron Quick Starter. So I'm just going to double click that. And this is all live. So Electron Quick Master, right? And I'm going to open this here in Visual Studio Code. And all I need to do here, let's pretend we don't know how to use Electron. It just says, clone this repository, package.json, points to the main file, and you run npm install and all of that. So let's just go ahead and run npm install. Right? Let's run npm install. Now let us bring the whole internet down. Okay, so we run npm install. Interesting. All right. This is pretty huge, 48 megabytes. Okay, I'm not sure we're running the correct npm install here. Okay, no, we are. So we're just gonna wait for Electron to finish its thing, and it normally doesn't take this long. I might have run the wrong npm install. Let me just do it again. npm install. Here. I want to run npm install while npm install is running. Nothing's gonna happen. What could go wrong? Exactly. So it's just gonna pull up a couple of things, and we should probably wait for it. Maybe that was a bad idea, Sani. Maybe. Oh, there we go. So I don't know what this is. I have no idea. Dun, dun, dun. We did not see it happen. So what do we do? So Electron works like this. You have this main.js file that literally points to the indexed HTML you want to serve, right? So which index do you think we should point to? Of the Vox application, right? We already have our app. So what are we going to do? So we're going to walk back. So we are in the same desktop folder, right? So we're just going to go out, And then we're going to go into Voxed. And inside Voxed, let's actually look. Say that again? Oh, okay. It's not my fault. I had African education, guys. It's not my fault. It's totally not my fault. So we had Voxeed. And we need to go, what we were trying to get to is this build file, and then the index of HTML in the build folder, correct? So we're going to go to source, www, then build, right? So Voxeed, src. Oh, of course. www, then index.html, correct? Okay. Oh, yes, build. This is why I like my crowd, you see? Everybody's making sure that I do not mess this up. Good. All right. So now we have this. So for us to start, we just need to run npm start. And this will go ahead and run Electron for us. So, hey, nothing is working. Wonderful. So let's go back and see if our, so we go back one level up. We have voxxeed, and we have www. Then we have, oh, yeah, we don't need to go into the build folder. It's just there, right? It's okay. So we just close that, and we do npm start again. And now we have an actual application running. But this is not just any application running. This is an actual Mac application. Like you can see here, Electron, all of that. I can go ahead and the main.js and like change this to what is going to show. Here, you can see it's an actual application here. And it has the same thing as those guys, you know, the big screen. And if we can make this full screen, look, we can make it full screen. It's just like Chrome. Now we actually have an application that we have. So this is, I think, is really, really cool. So we've been able to do that. So let's go on ahead and go back to our presentation. So now we have solved all the problems. We've saved the day, and we still don't get a promotion, unfortunately. Because you know what? That new manager is going to go and take all the credit and take all the bonuses. Developers. I thought that was awesome. I thought it was like, you know, it was really, really awesome. So other things to be aware of. Capacitor is coming. Capacitor is basically a new replacement by the Ionic team to basically take over Cordova because we want to have more control, right? And you can go and try this in beta today. We have Stencil. If you like to build web components today, basically Stencil is a tool to build web components that work anywhere, and you can use that. So Stencil is what is going to power Ionic 4. And I see people taking pictures. Don't worry, I'm going to tweet these slides, and they'll be available for you. We have the Ionic Pro. Basically, they have a lot of tools that like are premium, but they have a generous free tier. One of my favorite is the deploy. I had my workshop yesterday, so the workshop got any workshop people in the house? Yeah, they got to see the magic. You can update your apps live without the App Store. That's pretty cool. So that, yeah, you can beat Apple at their own game. These are my predictions. These are my own predictions. You know, feel free to like to disagree with them. I think PWAs will be accepted into the App Store in the next year. You'll be able to submit a progressive web app into the, probably starting with the Google Play Store, and you'll be accepted. End of JavaScript frameworks. We're not going to be killing each other about if you're React or JavaScript or vanilla or you still use jQuery. We just all get along. And then we find something else to fight over eventually. PWAs will make it to your Mac or Linux. This has actually already come true now because in the last month, the Chrome OS allows PWA to be saved on the Chrome OS. Chrome is working on it now for actual... the concept of desktop applications will be changed because today we have WebAssembly. If we have WebAssembly, people soon, you just go to Photoshop.com to use Photoshop. The web is just going to become this thin engine that you're just going to be running on. It's going to become like a micro operating system within another operating system. And when we use the word native, sometimes I get really pissed off because we make it seem like native is this great, good thing and the web is like this terrible place. No, the web will be the new native. When you want to build applications, you're not going to think any other way apart from the web in a couple of years. Shameless promotion. So I'm building this thing called UI School. We're teaching people production-driven development, we call it. I don't know how we came up with that name. It depends on how drunk we were. But yes, it basically teaches you how to create modern web applications end-to-end with Angular, Firebase, and other things. So feel free to go sign up to our mailing list. We're still developing this. To get started, you can go to the Ionic site, Electron site, and you can go to my blog and my Twitter. And if there are no questions, I'll open the floor for questions now. And yes. Any questions? Any questions? I don't bite. Sometimes. Yes, we have a question.
One question, how does this relate to Flutter? It's another project from Google, Flutter.io.
So Flutter is really interesting because I think Flutter is, I don't have the full details, but from my understanding, it's very similar to either native script in terms of what you use as a JavaScript engine to, like I said, I'm not sure, either that or it lets you compile Dart down to a native application. So it's one of the two. So again, I always say, Flutter is probably great. It will suit to some people. I would never stand on any stage and tell you this is the best way to go or this is the best. It depends on your use case, what you're comfortable with, the resources available to you. But there's one thing I would say. Flutter, these other things, they're not the first to try to do this problem. Xamarin has been there for a while. And the web is the future. You cannot lose if you bet on the web. So I still feel like these solutions will be there, but they have a definitive lifespan. There will be a time when we would say, we wouldn't be using Flutter. There will be a time where we would stop using native to create applications. There will definitely be a time. I'm not predicting this because I feel that way, because it is a reality of ours. So that's what I think about Flutter, but I think it's a great tool. Like I'm one of the people following it, so I really am excited to see what I can do with it too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Questions?
Any other questions?
We've got around 2 minutes. Any questions? Okay. Remember, Tesla. I'm giving away Teslas.
You showed us a great scaling for the application, for the images, for big and small screens, but for me the biggest pain point is the navigation, the menus of the applications. To scale on big screens, on small screens, and on like this Electron app.
Mm-hmm.
How do you will solve this problem?
You mean navigation?
Yeah.
And so when you say navigation, what exactly are you talking about?
The classic, if you have a hamburger navigation on phones or the navigation on TV. This navigation.
So
how you serve this application?
So that question is very user centric. Like I would only tell you what I would do, and I think the question is probably suited for somebody well into user experience. But the thing I would say is do what is comfortable for you and your users. The hamburger menu, we loved it, but now a lot of user experience researchers are saying don't use the hamburger menu. I'm completely comfortable with it. But some people are saying don't use hamburger menu. So it can only be what you and your user experience person decides to use or what your users complain. Because in the end, if you use a navigation and your users don't complain, maybe they love it. Does anybody know Craigslist.com? Craigslist? Exactly. One of the worst websites ever built. But it's making money. You know why? People are used to it, they love it, and they don't want it to change. And that's why it will never change. And that's why they're making a lot of money. Because at the end of the day, the most important person in the business is not your boss. The biggest boss is your user because he has the money and he can fire everybody by not paying his money. So listen to your users and implement what you think they would like. There's no one size fits all. Okay? We got around a minute.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We got time for a last question? Yeah?
So my question is about the performance.
Yes.
It's working fine, Ionic, in IPTV, in smart TV, in old mobiles, smart...
Yeah.
I don't know.
So performance is the number one question I get, because it's like the question I always ask is what is performance? What exactly? Every time I ask that question, I've never really gotten an answer. It's like, what is performance? What do we mean by performance? So I'm not directly asking that question. It's like when you think about it, you don't have one answer because somebody could say user experience is performance because it lets you get the job done quicker. Somebody could say speed is performance. So performance is this very big cloak. But I know the performance you're talking about in terms of, is it going to suck? I always say if your app sucks, it's because you're probably doing something wrong or you've chosen the wrong approach. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that, hey, go build FIFA 10 or FIFA 2019 with Ionic. No, don't do anything like that on the web because you need to be as close as the metal as possible. But with WebAssembly coming through, that's going to be a thing of the past now. Soon we'll be able to do so. Choose the right approach that works for your team. But in terms of performance with things that anything in the web, performance does not come for free. You would work for it. You would have to work for it. You'd have to optimize. But that's pretty much everywhere. But with native, you get a leeway. I've seen a lot of terrible native applications, but because it's very highly accelerated, people seem to get away with it. You see people nesting for loops within for loops and thinking it's okay. So it all comes down to your own personality and what you're implementing, and you can choose as well. But be more importantly, don't choose the technology. Let your user requirements dictate your technology. Let what you want to understand what you're trying to build, then select the technology. Don't go be like, hey, this is the finest, shiniest thing. My wife has just given birth to 4 people. Oh, I'm gonna buy a sports car because that's what I would need to take them to school. You know, a sports car has 2 seats. Don't go for what you want. Use your, okay, my wife is giving birth to triplets. Maybe we should get a big family car because that's practical. That's what we're going to need. Now, it's not nice, but it's what we need. Have the same mindset for applications. Thank you.
Any other? We are running out of time. So.
Okay. If there are no questions, then I would say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, Vox Zurich, and hopefully we see you in the next view, whenever we meet.
Thank you, Sani.